Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, seamlessly monitoring everyone's temperature in real time was obviously essential during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. But I recently heard about a story about a guy that took his award-winning photo editing AI tools and adapted them into COVID health monitoring solutions that are now deployed in hotels, malls and workplaces across the US. His name is Jau Huang, and he's the founder and CEO of a company called CyberLink that has grown from a small startup into an international powerhouse for multimedia products and facial recognition tools for businesses. But he originally developed the popular virtual makeup applicator called YouCam. So I've invited him on the podcast to share his journey from the days of PowerDVD to adapting his tech for health monitoring and discuss how artificial intelligence is transforming industries, including banking, retail, employee management, and so many more, and maybe illuminate why facial recognition technology will be a force for good in everyday citizens' lives. So buckle up and hold on tight, because today I'm going to beam your ears all the way to Taiwan, where he's waiting to speak with us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners about your journey, how you got here, and share your origin story with everyone listening?
My name is Joe Huang. I'm the founder and chairman of CyberLink. We did multimedia, and then recently we also do facial recognition. And I'm also a professor teaching computer science at National Taiwan University. So that basically is my background. So when I was doing my multimedia research with my professor colleagues back in 1996, and then we realized that we don't want to just publish papers. We want our research to have some significant impact. And so we started the company CyberLink. So since then, it has been a fun and exciting journey.
And to take you back even before then, right at the beginning of your journey, can you tell me a little bit more about how you built a company that's grown from a small startup into an international powerhouse for multimedia products, and tell the listeners some of the products that they may have heard of that you're behind?
Yeah, it is all about the paradigm shift. So Let's turn the time machine back to 1996. At that time, PCs cannot even play back video files without extra hardware, which is expensive. So we did the research. We said, we got smart algorithm. We should be able to allow PC. At that time was just 386 CPU, 486, if you record the naming. And so we did that. And so the industry was amazed by, wow, PC with pure software can play back video. At that time, we were talking, we talk about MP1 or video CD disc. Then later it became DVD movies. And then now today become Blu-ray discs. So what we did is then we offer our solution to all those PC powerhouse, such as Dell, HP, Acer, Asus, Toshiba. And then they started bundling it. So at one point, more than 50% of the PCs in the world contains of software called PowerDVD. I think many people our age saw that software, because when you play movies on your PC, that player is PowerDVD. So we got started there. And so again, if whoever can make something impossible possible, like PC could not play video, and then suddenly PC can do that, that started my journey. So it has been, by the way, PowerDVD this year is shipping version 22. Wow. How cool is that? A player version 22. That is what it is.
Oh man, I love that. I've got such fond memories of PowerDVD too. And of course, from there, you eventually led you to a makeup applicator called YouCam, which a lot of people have on their smartphones too. So can you tell me more about your inspiration, though, behind taking that virtual makeup applicator YouCam and then transforming it into a facial recognition software called FaceMe?
A few years back, when we want to step into not only PC software, we want to do mobile app as well. So we look at what people are looking for on multimedia, meaning, video and photos. And then we realized that people love selfie. They're taking selfie. So that's one thing. They love selfie. Second, then they said, I want to look better than I really look at, right? So they said, how can I make myself prettier, right? And then for female, they said, can you put some makeup on my face? So we thought is a desire for many people. So we developed an AI engine for that purpose. Now, since we are not talking about makeup, so meaning we need to know very well about people's face, about does he or she has a tall nose or not so tall, is a wide nose or not so wide, and if they want to change the other way around, meaning we need to know, we call facial feature point on your face, right? So I can put eyeshadows around the eye, but not eyeshadows on the nose.
Yeah.
Now, so once we did that, so we understand, we learn about AI, we learn about how to train AI on face. And like 5-6 years ago, then there's a huge wave of new demand on facial recognition came up. Okay, so we thought about, hey, since we can do AI research on faces, so we can do that for makeup, we should be able to do that also for facial recognition, for like security purpose, for online banking purpose, for like, withdraw cash from ATM machine just by showing face without another ID card. And so we started that journey from there and on. So yeah, if you look at CyberLink, on one hand, we were doing fashion, beauty tech, and then we switched the application use case, then we become a facial recognition for many more serious commercial usage. So that is basically how it came from.
So with FaceMe then, how it evolved into that, how does that work? Can you walk me through how to get the most out of the app and the technology making that possible?
So basically, FaceMe is our product name. So it really is a facial recognition engine. We train this engine by feeding it, millions of faces. AI is not really magic. I heard about one of your podcasts. You talk with the Intel people about the AI incubator network, and so AI really is just something that what we people used to do, we just put our experience, many of those, feed it into a model, we call AI model, and then it works. Like human beings, we can recognize faces. We can recognize John from Peter. If we train those, how we recognize it, then AI can do that. Okay. So let me talk a little bit technical.
Yeah.
Basically, if you feed FaceMe one photo with face, we use our model to analyze the face, and then we extract so-called feature point into a template. Okay. It's a very long bits, so you can treat it as a very long bits of 0 and 1s. And then we store that bit stream, that vector, to represent such as Peter, if this person is Peter. So the good thing is we do not need to store Peter's original photo, because some people has concern about, you store my photo so you can recognize me in the future. No, we actually convert that photo into a long bit stream. And there's no way to revert that bit stream into a real person's photo. So the privacy is protected. So I got Peter, I got John's, I got, everyone's vector in the database. Now someone comes in and then he claims he's Peter. So we would take the photo of this person and then run FaceMe. And so again, we would take this photo of this person, also vectorize it into a long bit stream, feed into the database to see which bit stream is most similar to the bit stream we just come in. So if John's bit stream is the most likely, then we say, oh, this is John. If none of those match, we will still say, no, you are not in my database. I don't know who you are. You are simply not wherever in my database. So it is just like that. So so the magic is, who can transform a real physical photo face into a long bit stream. And then by comparing the bit streams can get a very high recognition rate and without mistakes, because we don't want mistakes. And that is basically the technology part behind it.
And when you adjusted to this, I believe FaceMe is now using COVID health monitoring deployed in hotels, malls and workplaces across the US. Can you tell me about some of the problems that you're solving with this technology now?
This is funny. Yes, when COVID came up, two demands. One, now people are all wearing face masks.
Yeah.
Can facial recognition still work? Because 1/3 of your face is covered, right? So it imposed a big challenge to us. So basically, is what we need to do is we need to train the entire thing from the very beginning. We need to feed millions of faces, but then all covered with masks. But how can you get millions of faces with covered with mask? We actually we have the real face, right? And then we just make an artificial digital mask to cover the mouth and nose. And then we train the entire engine. And amazingly, and the first time I thought, maybe it's not going to be very precise, right? Because 1/3 of your face is now under the mask. But turns out the result is still very amazing, meaning it tells us by looking at our eyes, our eyebrow, our nose, our wrinkles on the forehead, we are still uniquely identifiable. So that is one thing, one challenge there. Then it came up with another opportunity. Now I'm talking about opportunity. So there are customers saying, we require our employees to all wearing masks before they come to office. But we don't want to send someone, standing at the entrance and checking everyone. So can you provide us an access control that if employee approaches, first of all, we check if it's really Jau Huang, one of our employees. Secondly, does he really wear mask? If yes, and yes, the door would open. If one of those is none, negative, like here's Joe Huang's employee, but he does not wear mask, then the door will not open. So it become a feature that came in a good timing, and it helped our business a lot, actually.
And how challenging was it adapting your tech for health monitoring? Did you get any pushback at the time from anyone in your teams when you were known for YouCam and serves a completely different purpose? Did you get any pushback when you wanted to change into health monitoring?
Listen, we're running business, right? So as long as I explain the business opportunity and revenue opportunity, my team is very, 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 very supportive. They know they have to redo this entire work again, and they need to revise some of the algorithms to make sure it works better. But my team loves challenges, and this one we got it very exciting. It works very well.
Love it. And obviously you said you listened to the episode around artificial intelligence with Intel, and you're working very closely with artificial intelligence too. In what ways do you see AI transforming multiple industries? Is there anything that excites you out there at the moment?
In fact, my major is not artificial intelligence. I'm a professor teaching networking. So at the very beginning, before I really put myself into it and studied it, I also was skeptical about, is AI going to be really that amazing? And it proves that it is really amazing. And so it really can apply in almost most industries. So let's just take facial recognition as an example. This entire world is based on how people see things, right? So I can recognize a snail versus Peter. I can recognize it's a boy versus a girl. I can recognize it's a car versus a tree. So now what AI can do is we can train a machine, or we call computer, who can see, not only seeing and also knowing what that is. More than face recognition, more than object recognition, we can identify dogs and what kind of dog. cat, what kind of cat. Now we put into insurance policy. We put into the hospital when the doctors are reading the X-ray transparencies. If doctors can read, oh, there's a potential cancer here, then a machine can, because it's the doctor training the AI to read the X-ray slides. So I think it, like it or not, it's coming, and as long as we use it the right way, it's going to help us a lot.
And you hit the nail on the head there. He says, as long as we use it in the right way. And there has been a few examples in the media of facial recognition technology being used from everything from surveillance to predictive policing. And that's been well documented. But can you tell me more about why you believe there are many examples of facial recognition actually being a force for good in everyday citizens' lives rather than that negative stuff?
Okay, now, I actually like what you said in your previous episode. You said, if we look at the Hollywood movies, many of them, if they talk about new technologies, most are talking about how dangerous that is, like the Terminator, for example, right? Because if you talk about those scary things, people will get more attracted. If you say, oh, things can do good things, people will not have that much attention. Now, let's come back to facial recognition. We are working with an organization. It's a non-profit organization. Their mission charter is finding lost children. Okay, what FaceMe can do is, if you give me your photo 10 years ago or even 20 years ago, trust me, I will still recognize that is you. Okay, and we also are able to recognize faces that even when they are in their teens. Okay. And so their organization, they work with a lot of like retailers, shops in the neighborhood, and they want to be able to find the lost children. So is this good or this is bad? Certainly it's good. Now let's take another step back. You mentioned about surveillance, law enforcement. That is because the people, they are not asked about, do they authorize that right to face or not? So if we look at private sector, now if you want to put a camera shooting your own backyard, your home, or your company or your factory, that outsiders should not even come in. And then the camera will do face recognition to identify, is this one of our employee or family members? And if not, the camera sees a stranger hanging around your backyard. And by the way, it is third time in a week. So that person is hanging there 3 times in this week. And then, so this face recognition notify you as and saying, Neil, do you want to pay attention to this event? So this is helpful. And by the way, if Neil said, I hate facial recognition, then you don't install it. So you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. As long as the law enforcement, if they don't get people's approval and then just run it, that's the issue. Now another thing, we have been working with banking for ATM machines. Many banks would like to allow just show the face to withdraw limited amount of money, say under 50 pounds. Okay. Now, if you don't like it, then you don't need to submit your face. You still use your bank card, use a PIN. So I think as long as facial recognition is in the private sector and it is under the people's approval, saying, okay, it is my own will, I'm willing to submit that. Another example, a lot of senior people like our parents, senior parents, they kind of lost, they have those senior issues. They may just get lost outside. They forget how to go home. And so if we are willing to submit their faces to police stations, saying, if you find a lost senior person, look like this face, that's my daddy, please notify me. So not only lost children, also my lost father, right? So as long as we use that in the good direction, it can be amazing.
It really can. That's a great story. Is there anything else that excites you about the future? And are there any tech trends that you're monitoring closely too?
For facial recognition, what is most amazing is it is in every possible industry. Let me give you some interesting ones. Hospitality on a cruise. Okay, if you are on the big ship, right? 2,000 passengers, and they pay good money to get on the cruise, and then they stop by every port, every city, so in different countries. So the passengers, get off the boat, and when they want to come in, you need to check the passport. If these people willing to use face, then we can say automatic face recognition check-in. So you don't need to light up, check passport. People look at the passport, look at your face. Also in the boat, some of the items are free, already included in your fee you pay. Some are extra payment, okay? And then if each time you need to take out your credit card, listen, there are only 2,000 people in the boat, and we know who is who. So if I'm willing to say, okay, take my face, by the way, you already have my face, right? Because that's required to get on the cruise. Then I can, I pick up a bottle of whiskey. All I have to do is smile the camera, then that's it. So that is hospitality, hotel. You clearly know security surveillance, it has huge opportunity. Now, smart retail is another one. Smart retail, then, every store owner want to know the customer demographics. I really want to know how many of my visitors are female, how many are male, and what is their age group. FaceMe can detect face group. You look at your face and can tell you, Neil, I think you are probably 30 years old.
Yeah. God bless you. Yes, that's right, mate.
That's right. I know, I got it right. So we can help the shop owners to be able to know the customer profile. Now, another thing, because you talk about the health.
Yeah.
I own the store. I want my employees coming in, make sure their temperature is perfect. They wear mask as required, and also it does time and attendance, automatically clog in. They don't need to clog in, use whatever old machine, right? So if it is for smart retail. Another thing, let me say this and then I'll stop. Factory.
Yeah.
So many factories, they have some machineries that require well-trained technicians to operate. So it's not everyone can go there and then push the on button and then start operate. So there are two issues. One is security issue, because the machine could become a problem. Two, quality issue, because you may do it the wrong way. We have been working, I'm not talking about story, I'm talking about real customer, sampling customer case. For those machines, they have a face recognition running our FaceMe. So only those technicians, they are well trained. Their face already input in the machine. So only those faces can come approach and operate the machine. So see, I already talk about hospitality. I talk about smart factory. I talk about smart retail. I talk about lost children and lost father, right? Wow. So it is every vertical.
It's incredibly cool. And I love throughout your whole journey how you've evolved and adapted and leveraged new technologies to create new solutions. But I've got to ask, where do you go from here? What's next? Is there anything you can share about your future plans?
You are talking, you're in this tech talk. I'm sure you talk about everything, isn't it? I'm sure you will be talking about like non-fungible token, NFT, or the metaverse. So what really happened in the past 10, 20 years is like new technologies just keep coming up and more and very different. Now, get back to your question about what CyberLink is up to. We are looking at the NFT, the non-fungible token, because CyberLink also do video and photo editing software. So we would like our users, after they create their video or their photo and they think it's a masterpiece, and they want to put out on the NFT market and to sell, right? And so I think blockchain really is the magic behind the NFT, as well as behind Bitcoin, just for example, is one huge thing. And that CyberLink has been looking at that closely for the past 5 years. And we think NFT may have opportunity that CyberLink can do more. And we are looking into it.
Awesome. And we began the podcast talking about your origin story, the days of PowerDVD, how it's still going strong as well, and the other things you're working on here with facial recognition, artificial intelligence. But if you look back throughout your whole career, what would be the funniest or most interesting story that's happened to you?
All right, this one is great. I don't want to call this funny or interesting, but it is very significant. It basically changed my life. Okay, I went to USA, UCLA for my PhD study, computer science as a graduate student, right? 1983. I joined a research group under a Professor Clara, and he taught computer networks. So we studied computer networks. This was 1983. Wow. 10 years later, the network we are working on had a new name. When I joined, the name was called ARPANET. 10 years later, the name changed to Internet. Wow. So my advisor, Professor Clara, I'm not kidding you. He is the father of Internet. If you look at the Internet Hall of Fame, you find his name. The world's first Internet packet was sent out 51 years ago, back in 1969, okay, from my advisor's research lab to Stanford, okay. So that made my advisor the father of Internet, and make me the academic son of the father of Internet. So I'm very proud of it, very proud.
Wow, I love that. What an amazing story. And before I let you go, for anyone listening that wants to find out more information about anything we've talked about today, and we have covered a lot, what's the best way of finding CyberLink online, contacting your team? What's the best starting point for everything?
Yeah, I think our website has most touch points, so including contact us. So it's a CyberLink, CyberLink.com. I think it should work.
Awesome. Well, I'll add that to the show notes so people can find that nice and easily. Loved hearing about how you've grown a small startup into this international powerhouse for multimedia products and facial recognition tools for private businesses. It's an incredible journey that you've been on, and especially that inspiring story you just left me with. But more than anything, just thank you for taking the time to sit down and share that story with me today.
Thank you.
What a great story, and a big thank you to him for reminding us all that Hollywood movies seldom show a positive image of the future. Everything is always dystopian, isn't it? In fact, there is your challenge for today. I want you to tell me how many sci-fi movies are actually optimistic about the future and the role that technology will play. Can you think of a sci-fi movie that promoted a positive image of future and technology? Well, email me now with your answer. techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn @NeilC.Hughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. But that's it for today, so a big thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.